Hello, everybody, and welcome to Life with Anxiety. I'm your host, Robin, and guess what? We're here to talk about some anxiety. So, I started suffering with anxiety after I lost my dog. Joe, he was such a great dog. He was amazing. I lost him in 2019. And my life started this out of control spiral that I believe I would remain in until this year. It was really, really hard. It was really bad. It was incredibly tough and difficult to get out of the rut that I created for myself. And it was even harder to realize that I had created that rut for myself. I didn't want to admit that. I was like, what? No, people are about self-preservation. Like, why would I make myself feel this way? Well, I got really far down. So far down that I can't even really relive that situation without getting the anxiety that is associated with it. So, right after Joe died, one of the big things that I remember was I had to go back to work, and I wasn't ready to go back to work. So, when I was at work, I was just totally shut down. I wasn't talking to anybody. I didn't want to make any friends. I just did my job and I left. Even if I was done early, I didn't care. I was out. It was over. So, this one day I came home from work, and I was so upset, but I didn't know how to convey the fact that I was upset because unfortunately not a lot of people understood what I was going through. So I didn't know how to convey it. So I just bought this sound bar for my television, and I connected it to my phone, and I turned on some music, and I turned it all the way up, and I sat down next to it just to try to get the feeling of hopelessness out of my mind. Somehow I thought that that would work. And of course it didn't. And I tried to go along with my regular routine, and I just simply, I couldn't do it. It was no longer regular because a big portion of my life was now gone. Joe was my best friend. He went everywhere with me. He loved going in the car. He loved going for walks. As long as he was with me, he was totally happy. I mean, he was just a happy boy. And, unfortunately, old age caught up with him, and he also had Cushing's disease, so that's what ultimately took him, was his advanced age along with the disease that, so anxiety for me and depression for me, I feel like it looks different than most people. Mine is severe anxiety and severe depression. So when I go through a depression episode, we'll call it, I'm really down. I have really bad thoughts. I think it's never going to get better. And then after that, about 2 days of dealing with that, then it goes into full-blown panic and anxiety. And anxiety for me is, my chest gets tight. I feel like I'm going to die right then. I'm going to pass out. Every emotion that you can feel just hits you really fast. For me, it's never subtly. Like, it's within, a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes tops, I am sweating. I can't breathe. My throat is closing up. I feel like I'm gonna throw up or choke. I get really lightheaded. I'm really dizzy, and I can't do anything other than just sit there and cry. And in that moment, I feel like the weakest person, that just can't control anything about how they're feeling, and I have to let that pass. And people tell me that anxiety attacks, they only last for, 5-15 minutes. And for me, they last a lot longer. And I'm not sure if it's I'm having one or I'm having multiples. But for me, an anxiety or panic attack could literally last for an entire day, an entire night. It'll keep me up all night. I've done that multiple times. I'll just sit in my chair and I'm trying to get my mind off of whatever, and next thing I know, it's 7 a.m. and I can't go to sleep now. I have stuff I have to do. So that's happened to me multiple times, and it was just going down and down and down and down and down. There was no coming up. And one day I woke up and I was like, I need to take control over my life, because at this point, the rate that I was going, I wasn't going to be alive for very much longer. I was definitely something catastrophic was going to happen. If I didn't start working on it and talking about it, something was going to happen. And it was going to most likely end not very good for me or the people who care about me. Because, I do have some people who legitimately care about me. So after the depression and the panic started happening, I started eating all of my feelings and all of my emotions. And that is how I dealt with it all. Like, oh, you're sad? Okay, have a cookie. Oh, you're sad? Oh, you're anxious? Okay, do this, And that for me was really hard, because I'd never acted that way before. I'd never understood when someone would say, oh, well, you're just emotional eating, I never understood that. I'm like, okay, get a grip, Sharon. But, nobody explained to me, or I guess maybe you don't actually understand until you're in that situation, until you're in that dark place. And I was there for a long time. We're talking 2 years. I was there a little over 2 years now. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish anxiety on my worst enemy. Unfortunately, I know that most everybody is going to go through a time in their life where they do feel anxious and they do feel depressed. And I just hope that somehow talking about it or making videos about it can help somebody when they feel helpless. Because at that point, you just want somebody who understands what you're going through and how you're feeling. And it's a double-edged sword, because at the same time, you think that no one gets it and no one understands and nobody could possibly know what it's like to be you. And I felt that way for a long time. People would tell me, oh, I'm anxious too. Oh, I'm depressed too. And I'm like, really? Is it taking over your whole life? Do you not want to leave the house? Are you afraid to take a shower? Does water scare you now? Loud noises, knocks at the door, your telephone ringing? Do those things scare you? Because if those things don't scare you, then you have no idea what I'm feeling. And it was every day. There was the sound of cars starting, the sound of a doorbell ringing. Or a knock at the door was worse than the doorbell by far. The sound of keys, the thought of leaving the house. All of those things for me triggered that fight or flight. I'm either going to fight my way out of this situation or I am going to run away. And for me, I'm such a fighter that I wanted to just run into those problems head on. But at the same time, the adrenaline that I was feeling during hearing those things or seeing those things, it would automatically trigger a panic attack. So now here I am, and I can't breathe, and I'm choking, and I'm about to die, and my heart is about to come out of my chest. I just need to lay down. And that feeling, until you've had one, you just don't understand. And, I would try to record one, but I never know when it's going to happen. I never know how long it's going to last. And honest to God, the last thing I'm thinking about is pulling out my phone and doing a video. That's literally the last thing on my mind. The first thing on my mind is get me to a hospital. I need to check my blood pressure. Maybe my blood sugar is too low. Every possible feeling of you're about to die, that's what it feels like. And it's awful. That's the best way to describe it. It's horrible. For me, it's the chest, the heart. That's what really gets me freaked out. And that's unfortunately the most common thing that happens to me is my heart will start racing, or it feels like it's stopping, and then I can't breathe, and it's horrible. And I've had people tell me in the past, like, snap out of it, and that does not help. Anybody who says that to anybody, it is the most dumb thing that you can say, is just snap out of it. Because trust and believe that in that moment, the person who's having the anxiety attack really wants to snap out of it, and there is no way to do that. You have to talk yourself down, then you have to calm down, and then you have to go through all of these other steps just to try to feel semi-normal. Because what makes people, in my opinion, so depressed is feeling that way is now your new normal. I don't believe that I'm ever going to go back to how I was before. I was very carefree. I was very adventurous. I like to go out and do things. Now, not so much. I would be perfectly happy staying inside, actually. I force myself to go out and do things so that way my depression doesn't take over. But for the most part, I really try to just accept that this is going to be my new normal for now, because that's the step I'm at. And the step that I'm at currently is talking to a counselor and trying to figure out, what I can do to make the symptoms better. But not necessarily make the symptoms go away, which is, in an ideal world, would be exactly what I do. Would make these symptoms go away. But, I just want everybody to know who's dealing with anxiety and depression that you are not alone. That is the most important thing to understand. Now, I'm available day or night. If you need somebody to talk to, if you're having suicidal thoughts, I've been there. I get it. I understand. But I promise you that things will get better. They're not going to get better overnight. They're not going to get better if you don't try. They're not going to get better if you don't talk about your feelings, but they will get better if you do those things. And I just want to help. I just want to help somebody. If I can help one person and let them know that suicide's not the right option, let them know that they're not by themselves, they do have a friend, then that's what I'm going to do. And at the same time, I know that there's going to be hate, You can't have good without hate, and I know that. But, let's just be honest here. I want to help. So if I can help, then just let it be. Let it be. But, we're going to try to make a lot of videos and hopefully try to figure out what we're doing. And that way we can try to reach an audience that really suffers in silence a lot of the time, because nobody cares. Nobody's been through it. Nobody gets it. And we're going to try to make that stop. We're going to try to make talking about it normal. And we're going to try to make helping people a priority. Especially in today's times, we need that more than anything. We need to come together and help each other. So until tomorrow, I'll see y'all later.